Welcome back to Universal Journey Talk, part 2 of episode 5.
I think everything's based off astrology. Even if you go to the Bible, people don't understand. Like, you could go, the 12 disciples. The 12 disciples still represents the 12 Zodiac. You know what I mean? Or the constellation. The 12 disciple. If you walk in a room with 12 people, the chance of being in a room and all 12 are a different Zodiac sign, you know? So even if you look at that, the 12 disciples, they represent the 12 Zodiac, you know, the 12 age.
I heard about that. Right.
And so that's why a lot of times with the Bible, I'm not saying you can take it literally, but you want to also understand it allegorically as well. It's good to understand the Bible, you know, not just literally, but allegorically, you know, so you can really get a wider range of understanding from it if you're gonna, especially or any of these ancient books, you know what I mean?
Right.
So astrology is like really, I think it goes back so far, so ancient, and to me it goes further than 300,000 years ago. You know what I mean? And we know, like, with all these, what we're coming to find out, that there's civilizations that have been here a lot longer than what we think, and than what science has even shown, you know, today.
Yeah. I would even have to say, I mean, it seems to me like, okay, well, for instance, they even say that there's a lot of talk about the dark side of the moon, and that, you know, we can never see the dark side of the moon, if I'm correct. So right. There's a lot of talk that there's probably, it would make a lot of sense if the aliens of whatever form they are, whichever types, want to still do business with, you know, humans or with the governments or whatever it is, to stay on the dark side of the moon, that they could have a whole civilization on the dark side of the moon and we would never know it because we'll never see it.
Well,
you know,
that is a theory. There's technically also a theory that I mean, you know, there's, you know, you do your research, but there's also technically, they say the Nazis have bases on Mars, and that Hitler just went to Mars, you know. And
there's movies about that, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a lot of theories and things that definitely worth checking out too.
Yeah.
Because when you do, and you stay open minded, you know, there are a lot of things that, as crazy as they sound, sometimes you can start putting things together. You know what I mean? And through time, you may look at one theory as, oh, you know, that's crazy or whatever, but then later on it comes back, actually that kind of ties into something else I was doing, you know, or I was doing research in, or somehow, and then it starts, you know, the pieces all start making sense and coming together, you know.
Yeah.
Like a jigsaw puzzle. You start realizing, hey, fact is stranger than fiction. So
yeah.
Start really realizing this planet, this solar system, it's a lot more weirder and strange than you could ever think. And I think a lot of times we can just be so closed-minded and only going by just simple, you know, like media and the things that we learn. But it's like knowledge that we get on a regular basis that's just given to the public and from your school. It's so basic, fundamental stuff. So it's basically elementary. It would be like if you were an alien that speaks telepathy, you know, through gamma rays or whatever, coming here to have a conversation with us when we're just speaking primitive words, you know? So if you think, like, if an alien came down here and it was like, hey, take me to your leader, and you're like, I'm sorry, what? And you'd be like, yeah, I mean, they'd probably come down and be like,
right, I get you.
Excuse me? And the whole time they're like, take me to your leader. And you're like, oh, can you take me to your leader? You know, I mean, because we haven't even got to that level of understanding telepathy, or, you know, like a whale can communicate with another whale from over like 200 miles away. I mean, like 200 miles away. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, what does that even mean to us? You know what I mean? We wouldn't even understand that. So, we got a lot of work to do when it really comes to really expanding our conscious and our way of thinking, and expanding our mind, and really understanding that what we, as intelligent as we are, but we still have a lot more to expand and really take things to another level as we evolve consciously.
Yeah. Well, I do think that it's just probably like it's very easy for us to stick to the obvious, which is what we observe and what we don't observe. Because I know even for myself, I think like, this whole new experience that I've, come into where, like I said, for a long time, I more just went by whatever our, spiritual leaders or religious leaders told us. Pretty much I just felt, well, then that's what it is. And that's how life is and that's how things are. I didn't really, consider anything else, but because I only stuck to one path. And a lot of it also was, and I guess I still struggle with this now, which is, the things that we can't see versus the things that we can see. And I do prefer when science, officially certify something compared to theories and things like that. But, there is the intangibles that we have to be able to still be open-minded to and consider to be real. Like, like I've always heard the analogy, like, well, you can't see the wind, but you can feel it. Good point, and then it's the same thing with other things, radio waves, infrared.
Chakras.
I
mean, can you see a chakra? I mean,
right.
Some people can, but can
right.
you? I mean, that doesn't mean it's not there.
Right. So now, it's up to you to have. Wait, hold on. Sorry about that. I think my electrical thing's starting to go out on me a little bit here. Is that there's so there's a certain point where you just have to still be open to realistic possibilities. So I think there's something which it seems that the human race has always had this issue with, which is that we feel, because we're at the top of the food chain, we feel that we're so much higher than all the other things around us, that's why, like in the Bible and stuff, or whatever, like I feel that humans think that we're something more special than everything else, than everything. Now, yes, you could say, as far as what we've accomplished, yes, we are. But once again, it's almost like as if we feel like we're the center of the universe. And maybe even things, in the Bible kind of indicate that, where it's like we are the sons of God, even like more so than any other species. Like we have our own right that is directly connected to God and stuff, the way that the Bible kind of words things and stuff. And, whatever. And that we will, depending on your belief, upon dying, you go to heaven to be with God and all this, and these other things. So, in other words, it seems like there's a lot of ego in the general consciousness of, humans, where we can't imagine that just because we can't see it, we can't see something out, even though we know that there's a vast, universe out there. Just because we basically can't see it. That's what it comes down to. We can't see it, so then we go, there must be nothing else out there. We're at the top. A lot of people, and also because of their religious backgrounds and stuff, they kind of think that, well, God only mentions us in the Bible, so it must be, if there were other creatures out there or something, surely they'd be mentioned in the Bible. And that's where I kind of feel like, no, I don't agree with that at all. I mean, really, the Bible, it only just talks about us. Why? Because we're the ones that are here, that are pretty much running things, So it I mean, it may indicate some other things, whatever. Now, I don't know if you look at it allegorically, if that's different now, you know what I mean? But as far as goes, our general consensus is, we only are concerned with ourselves because we are the only ones here so far that we've ever known of, you know?
Could we say the Bible is basically a manual on
Right.
how to live, instructions on how to live life on Earth?
Yeah, exactly. Right.
So I don't know why we really need to really involve too many other aliens. And in other ways, you also have to look out when you look at the human species and all the genes, like, as you know, like, theories go deeper in that. Well, who's to say that us humans aren't already aliens to begin with? You know.
Well, perspectively wise, we are aliens to anyone else. Clear, you know, any other intelligent life. You know.
You know, a lot of ego comes into play, especially like when this God said man was made in the image of man was made in his image.
Right.
And it depends on how people want to take that. I think a lot of times people take too much like God's a human being, you know, and want to relate like, oh, so God, he said made us in his image. So like not like we look like him, you know. And some will say, you know, like the gods or could be like Anunnaki, you know what I mean? Saying we're made in their image. Or you can look at it this way. If we're talking God as in, you know, the Almighty, you know, Supreme Being, in a sense, when he was saying humans are made in his image, meaning what separates humans that makes us not necessarily special, but unique, is that compared to all the animals and plants, that while we're made in God's image, meaning that for those that understand us being co-creators to God, and a co-creator, what would that power be? We would have the power of like say the laws of attraction, you know, to create. And I think that's, if we're going to look at it in that way, what separates us from the plants and the animals, which makes us more unique in that sense. But it doesn't mean we're not. It's not like, you know, that they're not equal, or you know what I mean, or that we're better, you know.
Yeah. Now,
in the end, we're all God. We're all connected. Like God, like God would be the substance in everything. You know what I mean? Living or as non-living. But we're all connected. Everything comes from God. Sources in everything. In
right.
a rock. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Now, another thing I was just thinking about though is regarding aliens. Now, you know, a lot of people say, you know, they're here, they're among us, and things like that. Here's some of the things that I think are my line of reasoning so far is that I do believe that there have been, you know, alien encounters of whatever different types, you know, of different aliens that have been here, you know, through the, you know, the ancient times to relatively, you know, recent times or whatever. But I would have to assume that when we were, let's say, more primitive, and I'm not even talking like, you know, Cro-Magnon or Neanderthal type. I'm just saying like when we were just, you know, like thousands of years back and we didn't have as much technology like we do now. Before like big industry, electricity, you know, nuclear, you know, weaponry and stuff like that, our ability to now like put things out in space. I think that maybe there were more, you know, extraterrestrial interactions that I actually think affected the Bible. I think a lot of the things that are in the Bible are actually misinterpretations of alien, you know, encounters, you know, extraterrestrial of whatever types.
Like Enoch, the book Enoch you're going into.
Book of Enoch, a little bit of that. Actually, I wasn't going into that, but you can feel free. But I was just going to say, though, that thanks for watching this segment of the full episode to be posted Sunday afternoon. Much more to be discussed in the next part, so give this video a like, leave your comments for us to reply to in future episodes, and stay notified by hitting the subscribe button.